After the video I posted last week talking about AI content, I got a bunch of messages and comments from you guys asking for recommendations and help on a lot of the AI content websites that you guys are building. So I want to talk a little bit more about the limitations of these tools and some best practices when we're publishing AI content for SEO. Now, something that I probably should have talked about in that last video is where all of these AI tools get their content from. So tools like openAI basically get fed massive amounts of pre-existing information and knowledge, right? And so the content that all of these tools are spitting out isn't really unique content. This content will pass plagiarism tests because it is original, right? These AI content tools are writing original content, but it is not unique. And apart from the fact that it's not unique, I also spoke last week about the fact that a lot of these tools spit out factually incorrect information, right? This is something that we need to be very careful about because ChatGPT, for example, will sound very confident when talking about something that's completely wrong. So I will link to a couple articles in the description of this video that talk about this specific issue. So you guys can definitely find that down there. And so one of the main limitations, as we spoke about in the last video, is that the AI can't really talk about current events or rapidly changing topics, right? The last info that ChatGPT was fed, for example, was in late 2021. So the AI is stuck in that time frame. But if you go a little deeper, a lot of these tools can't really talk about topics where society hasn't really agreed on a general consensus. Things like politics and things like religion, we're gonna get results that are often inaccurate and sometimes can even have a lot of bias, which is quite worrying. But obviously this AI generated content has to be good for something, right? This tech is obviously amazing and there's a lot of potential for this tech moving forward. And as we spoke in the last video, it works really well when we're talking about a topic, some idea that again has that general consensus in society. And so a lot of these topics are connected to informational queries. So this is a query where you would basically go to Wikipedia for, right, to find a historical answer or something that again is quite obvious or is already well known in society. But what is the best way of creating content with these AI content tools? Let's talk about some of these best practices. So number one, we need to be fact checking everything that the AI is writing, especially for writing long form content. We need to be hiring an expert or we need to be an expert ourselves to review all the content that the AI is spitting out. And so oftentimes it might even be easier just to hire that expert, have them write the content, and you're probably much better off. Number two, guys, we need to not only focus on the speed of content creation of a lot of these AI tools, but we also need to think about value. Value is what wins inside of Google, and it's also what's going to help you win over your potential customers. So low quality content is already a huge issue inside of Google that they're tackling very aggressively. And if we assume that everybody has access to these AI content tools and everyone is publishing the same type of content from this data source of pre-existing knowledge, and they're publishing this content at these insane rates, then we're actually going to have a pretty big problem inside of Google. We're going to be flooding Google with a lot of really low quality content that's opinionless, that has no structure, and it also has no voice. And to be fair, this is definitely something that's already happening inside of Google, right? There's a lot of people that are trying to beat their competitors by just publishing way more content than their competitors, but this is definitely not the right way forward. So we need to be thinking about how we can differentiate ourselves from our competitors, and we do that with value, right? AI has and will have a really hard time giving that extra level of value that we can. And so how do we add value? Really quickly, guys. Number one, we need to be adding expert tips and quotes, right? Reach out to an expert in your niche, see what they have to say about the topic, add that extra level of depth to your content. Number two, we need to add opinion and a much deeper analysis than our competitors. Again, this is something where the AI will not be able to compete. And number three, we need to be adding original data and talk about our personal experience. So any personal experience that we've gained over time in that niche with your job, that's definitely something that's going to be very valuable to your content. And that's something that's going to resonate a lot with your users. And now these are all things that we can do where AI really won't be able to compete, definitely not now, and hopefully not in the future. Number three, guys, in terms of best practices is using AI as a writing assistant. So AI right now is best used to help writers with their writer's block, for example, and for tackling a lot of those repetitive tasks. Things like writing product descriptions for hundreds of products, copy for your ads, and writing title and meta descriptions, right? There's a lot of different examples here. And we can definitely use them to help us out with writing long form content as well. As I showed you guys in the last video, Jasper helped me create a blog title and an outline literally within a few clicks. But the the actual writing of this long form content, guys, if we actually want to add value and if we actually want to provide real high quality content that's going to resonate with our potential users, we need to be writing that content ourselves or hiring an expert to do it. If you guys still want to use these AI content tools to write long form content, then I really highly recommend editing them very heavily and having a very solid review before publishing anything online. And the last thing here, guys, is using AI content detectors. Now, I found a few of these. If you have any extra ones that I'm not including, definitely leave them in the comment section. I'd love to have as many of these as possible. So this one I found is originality.ai, and in theory, they just released a blog post here where they talk about how they can detect GPT-3 and 3.5. Now, there's also huggingface.co, and this is for GPT-2, but it could be helpful here for those lower quality AI tools. And the last one here is contentatScale.ai. Again, it looks pretty simple, but it's definitely helpful just to run your content through as many of these as possible. So this is definitely a very interesting space that's going to be changing a lot very quickly. So there's going to be a lot more videos of AI content coming as this space develops. And if you guys have any questions or comments, definitely leave them under this video. Thanks for sticking till the end, guys. I'll see you in the next one.